In this module, we will look at the lighting system of the ATR. We'll start out with the exterior lighting. Next, we will look at the interior lighting system of both the cabin and flight deck. Finally, we will look at the emergency lighting system. The exterior lights consist of the navigation lights, the taxi and takeoff lights, the landing lights, the wing lights, the beacons, the strobe lights, and the logo lights. The exterior lights are controlled by the exterior lights panel, located on the overhead section of the flight deck. The navigation lights consist of 3 lights. There is 1 light in each wing tip and 1 in the tail cone. The left wing tip navigation has a red lens, and the right wing tip has a green lens. The tail cone navigation light is white. The navigation lights are powered by the DC service bus, or DC bus 1. If the DC service bus is not powered, then the navigation lights are powered by DC bus 1. The navigation lights are controlled by the nav toggle switch on the exterior lights panel. In addition to the navigation lights, the nav toggle switch also controls the illumination of the ice evidence probe. When off is selected, all lights are off. All navigation lights and the ice evidence probe light will be illuminated when the toggle switch is in the on position. The aircraft has 2 red rotating beacon lights. One beacon is located on top of the vertical stabilizer, and the second one is located near the center of the bottom side of the fuselage. The red beacon lights should be on any time the aircraft is moving. The beacon lights are powered by the DC service bus, or DC bus 1. The rotating beacon lights are controlled by the beacon toggle switch on the exterior lights panel. When on is selected, the beacons will be operating. The beacons are disabled when off is selected. The aircraft has 3 strobe lights. There is a strobe light in each wing tip and 1 in the tail cone. These strobe lights are adjacent to the navigation lights. The strobe lights flash white to aid in aircraft identification. The left and tail strobe lights are powered by AC Wild Bus 1. The right strobe light is powered by AC Wild Bus 2. The strobe lights are controlled by the strobe toggle switch. The strobe lights will flash when this toggle switch is in the on position. The strobe lights are disabled when off is selected. Two lights are mounted on the nose gear strut. They are both 250-watt lamps, controlled by the same switch. They are used for taxi and takeoff to supplement the landing lights. Both lights will automatically extinguish at gear retraction. The taxi and takeoff lights are powered by AC Wild Bus 2. The taxi and takeoff lights are controlled by a single toggle switch, labeled Taxi and Takeoff. When on is selected, both the taxi and takeoff lights are illuminated. The off position extinguishes both lights. The aircraft has two landing lights. The landing lights are installed in the forward part of each main landing gear bay fairing. Both lights are 450-watt halogen lamps, protected by a clear lens. The landing lights are powered by the respective AC Wild bus. Each individual landing light is controlled by an associated landing light toggle switch. The on position illuminates the associated landing light. The off position extinguishes the landing light. Two wing lights illuminate the wing leading edges and the engine air intakes. These wing lights are flush-mounted on either side of the fuselage. The purpose of these lights is to enable the crew to check if ice is accumulating on these areas of the wing. These lights are also used to enhance aircraft visibility while in flight. The wing lights are powered by DC Bus 2 only. The wing lights are controlled by a single toggle switch labeled Wing. Both wing lights are illuminated when on is selected. The off position turns off both wing lights. Two optional logo lights are flush-mounted on the bottom side of the horizontal stabilizer. These lights illuminate the company logo on the vertical stabilizer. The logo lights are powered by the DC service bus. Both logo lights are controlled by the logo toggle switch. Both logo lights are illuminated when the switch is in the on position. The off position extinguishes both logo lights. Interior lighting consists of the flight deck lights, the cabin and cargo lights, passenger signs, and emergency lighting. Flight deck lighting consists of integral lights for the various panels, spotlights, and floodlights. Storm lights and dome lights also provide flight deck illumination. The flight deck lights are controlled by control panels located on the overhead panel, on the flight instruments panel, and the center pedestal. Integral lighting is controlled by the lights panel located on the center pedestal. The selector labeled Instruments adjusts the brightness of the integral lighting for the flight instruments panel. The selector labeled Panel controls the integral lighting for the overhead panel, glare shield, and center pedestal, as well as the audio panels and overhead circuit breaker panel. The display rotary selector controls the illumination of digital displays such as the landing field elevation window. The brightness of the annunciator lights on the overhead and center pedestal is adjusted by the annunciator lights toggle switch. This switch also controls the brightness of the flow bars in the push buttons on the overhead panel. All lights will illuminate dim when the dim position is selected. This would be the normal switch position at night. If bright is selected, all associated lights will illuminate bright. The annunciator lights on the overhead and center pedestal, as well as the flow bars in the push buttons on the overhead panel, can be tested by placing the annunciator lights switch to the test position. This will cause all the associated lights and flow bars to illuminate bright. Center pedestal flood lighting is controlled by the light flood knob on the light and recorder panel on the aft section of the center pedestal. The flood light can be turned off completely by placing the knob in the full counterclockwise position. Out of that position, the knob position proportionally adjusts the intensity of the overhead flood light. The two side panels are illuminated by lights mounted under the side windows. These lights are controlled by a console light knob. There is one knob for each side. The associated side panel light is extinguished when the knob is in the full counterclockwise position. Out of that position, the knob enables the selection of various levels of intensity. Each pilot position incorporates a reading spotlight. These are mounted on the ceiling and are adjustable to illuminate the work surfaces below each side window frame. They are controlled by an associated reading light knob located on each outboard side of the flight instruments panel. This knob can turn off the associated reading spotlight as well as adjust the intensity of the light. Two dome lights provide general illumination of the flight deck. They are located above each pilot's side window. These dome lights can be illuminated bright or dim. The two dome lights are controlled by the Flight Compartment Lights panel on the overhead panel. The standby compass is illuminated by an integral light that is controlled by the standby compass switch. Storm lights are located under the glare shield. These storm lights consist of 2 fluorescent lights and 6 incandescent lights, and they are controlled by the storm switch. They are used to provide ultra-bright cockpit lighting in the event lightning is encountered. With the switch in the storm position, the floodlights are illuminated at full intensity, and the fluorescent storm lights are on. When the switch is in the off position, only the floodlights are illuminated. They are powered by DC Bus 1. Passenger signs consist of the no smoking and seatbelt signs located over the passenger seats. In addition, there is a return to seat sign located in the lavatory. The passenger signs are controlled by the no smoking and seatbelt switches on the signs panel. This panel is located on the overhead panel. When the no smoking sign switch is placed in the no smoking position, the no smoking signs illuminate in the cabin and a single chime will sound throughout the cabin. In addition, the no smoking memo panel light illuminates on the center flight instruments panel. Placing the switch to the off position extinguishes the no smoking lights and extinguishes the memo panel light. A chime sounds throughout the cabin any time the no smoking signs are turned on or off. When the seat belts sign switch is placed in the seat belts position, the seat belt signs illuminate in the cabin. The return to seat sign illuminates in the lavatory, and a single chime will sound throughout the cabin. In addition, the seat belts memo panel light illuminates on the center flight instruments panel. Placing the switch to the off position extinguishes the seat belt sign's lights, the return to seat sign in the lavatory, and extinguishes the memo panel light. A chime sounds throughout the cabin any time the seat belt signs are turned on or off. Cabin lighting consists of galley lights, lateral passenger lighting, dome lighting, entrance lighting, rear cargo lighting, and reading lights. Cabin lighting is controlled by the flight attendant panel. This panel enables the flight attendant to control lighting throughout the cabin. Cabin lighting is powered either by DC Bus 1, DC Bus 2, the DC Service Bus, or one of the DC Utility Buses. The reading lights are powered by either AC Wild Bus 1 or Bus 2. Therefore, cabin lighting would be unavailable if none of these buses were powered. In order to provide a minimum amount of cabin lighting, every second overhead light on the right-hand side of the cabin is powered by the main battery. This minimum lighting is controlled by the minimum cabin lights switch on the overhead panel. It should be noted that this switch is operative only when the aircraft is on battery power only. A switch located on the right-hand side of the rear entrance will illuminate certain flight deck and cabin lights for a period of 2 minutes. There is a second similar switch located in the flight deck near the observer's oxygen mask. These switches are referred to as the 2-minute switches. The 2-minute switches will illuminate one bulb in the forward emergency exit light, one bulb in the aft emergency exit light, and a light in the flight deck near the observer's oxygen mask. These lights will illuminate. After 2 minutes, these lights will automatically extinguish. The forward and aft cargo compartments are illuminated. The forward cargo compartment light is controlled by the cargo bay light switch on the cargo operating panel, located on the left side of the fuselage, just aft of the cargo door. The forward cargo light can also be illuminated by a switch located near the observer's oxygen mask. In the event of an electrical power failure, an emergency lighting system provides lighting in the flight deck, the cabin, and the exterior of the aircraft. There are also emergency flashlights in the aircraft. In the event the electrical system is in the emergency supply configuration, only the right dome light, 3 lights below the captain's side of the glare shield, the light in the wet compass, and the pedestal light on the overhead panel will be available. This would be the only cockpit lighting available in the basic mode. You should note that the dome light and the wet compass lights will be on only if the associated switch is in the on position. Cabin emergency lights consist of emergency evacuation path markings near the floor of the cabin, exit, ceiling, and exterior emergency lights. These are the only cabin lights available in the basic mode. The exterior emergency lights illuminate 4 areas of the exterior of the aircraft. 2 lights illuminate the left side of the aircraft, and 2 lights illuminate the right side of the aircraft. These lights illuminate areas that can be used as an emergency exit point. The path markings is a photoluminescent system and does not require electrical power. These lights basically absorb photons and radiate them back when it's dark. These lights are powered by a 6 volts DC system. The system is powered either by the DC standby bus through a voltage divider or by 6-volt integral batteries. The batteries will provide power to illuminate the emergency lights for a period of 10 minutes. The batteries for the cabin emergency lights are recharged by the DC standby bus when it is powered. If DC standby bus voltage drops below 18 volts, the batteries will take over and continue to power their associated lights. The emergency lighting system is controlled by the emergency exit light switch on the overhead panel. The emergency exit lights are illuminated by placing the switch in the on position. The emergency lighting system is armed when the switch is in the arm position. In this position, the emergency lights will illuminate if the DC standby bus voltage drops below 18 volts, or if both generators are lost. The emergency exit lights will extinguish if the DC standby bus voltage is above 20 volts and at least one generator is operating. In the disarm position, the emergency lights will be extinguished and the emergency lighting system is deactivated. This is the normal position for this switch when the engines are not running. When the emergency lighting system is deactivated, the disarm light illuminates to indicate that the system is inhibited. The flight attendant panel has an emergency light switch, which can be used to turn on the emergency exit lights. This button overrides the emergency light switch in the flight deck. Activation of the flight attendant emergency light switch will illuminate the emergency exit lights even if the flight deck emergency light switch is in the arm or disarm position. This concludes the lighting module.